Hey everyone, I'm your host, Emily Lauren. Welcome to the Body Positive Podcast, where we ditch diets, normalize real bodies, and help you feel better in your own skin. Welcome to the Body Positive Podcast show. Today I have Cuvée on the show. She is an international burlesque dancer and instructor here to speak with us about body image and burlesque. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fun, actually. I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too. So to dive right in, obviously burlesque is a style of dance, but tell me more about it and perhaps how it became more mainstream or popular.
Oh, burlesque has been around for eons, easily over a century that it's been popularized anyway. And started, way back probably in the 1700s, really in France. But in the United States and most of, the Western world, really, probably since the 1920s. Mm-hmm. So about a century that people have really been sort of fascinated with it. and for good reason, because it is a tantalizing sort of delicious art and creative expression, which just, it just celebrates the female form in all forms, because there are burlesque dancers of all shapes and sizes and equally appreciated. They all have an audience.
I love that. That. So tell me a little bit about your background and why you started doing burlesque.
Well, I'm a classically trained dancer. So my mum was a dance instructor. So I had no choice. You know how it goes when your parent does something, you end up doing it, right? So I grew up from the age of 2, basically doing ballet and tap and then jazz and gymnastics and even Tahitian, with the grass skirts and the tassels that go 100 miles an hour. Yeah, and nothing moves from the waist up. That is the most difficult form of dance. It's amazing. It's really good core workout. Wow. And I pull some of those moves into my burlesque dancing because you always have little fringes and tassels and, things that you can make fly when you do a hip bump. And that's part of the fun of it.
Amazing.
So I was exposed to really good dance technique. Ballet is, the basis for everything, for all types of dancing, even ballroom dancing. So I feel very fortunate that I had that. And then as I got older and saw more jazz technique and what they would call more contemporary dancing these days, Bob Fosse was a humongous influence. And if that name sounds a bit familiar, maybe in passing you've heard it, it's because he was the choreographer who did Cabaret and Chicago and, all these marvelous, huge Broadway shows that later became movies, of course.
Yes.
And the style of dancing that he pulled in was directly from burlesque.
Amazing.
Because his mum was a burlesque dancer.
Oh, no way.
Yes. So he grew up backstage at burlesque houses.
Amazing. I love that.
So you'll see the little, pops and the hips and the rib cage thrusts and, all the moves that now Beyonce does and, all the pop stars do. That's from burlesque.
Wow.
Hip hop stole that from burlesque.
Wow. That's fascinating.
So, there you are. The Pussycat Dolls are probably the best example in recent decades anyway, because they really did sort of true routines out of it that were pretty much purely burlesque influenced without going too far into the hip hop or break dancing sort of thing.
Yeah.
There you are. And it's sort of infiltrated all of our dance floors now.
Amazing. And how would you say that dance has affected your relationship with your body? Has it been a positive one, negative, a bit of both?
That's a really good question because each dancer has a very different response to their body because of the nature of the beast. I mean, we are asking our bodies to do things that aren't necessarily natural. So it requires a lot of stretching, a lot of flexibility. You have to really work for that. A lot of moves that, aren't normally done in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Even probably back in caveman days when we were, running from and after wild animals. If you had to leap over something, then there's a grand jeté right there. It probably wasn't done with the most style and grace. More like save my skin. So, it's a very different relationship that dancers have with their bodies. Mm-hmm. And therefore, many of us have very positive views of ourselves because you are working hard on a daily basis, usually, if you're very serious about it. If you're a more casual dancer, then it's not taken to the extreme, of course.
Yeah.
But, and you love seeing the effects of it on your body. It's one of the most incredible, if not the most incredible thing you can do to stay fit and toned throughout your life, forever. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to take it that seriously even to see those benefits. So it can have a very positive impact. But on the other hand, it can have sometimes a negative impact for people because they're expecting to maybe look like that dancer on the film or on stage, or the one next to you, or in the class behind you, or in front of you, whatever, comparing yourself to someone. And that's just a really terrible rabbit hole to go down, the comparison thing.
Yeah.
We get enough of that.
Exactly. Yeah. So how does burlesque teach women to appreciate their bodies? Because I've done a little bit of reading on sort of different movement programs and things like that. And burlesque seems to be sort of one of those more body positive styles of
yes.
Tell me about that.
Yes, definitely. I get such a thrill when I see my students light up and their faces, when they came in with a little bit of trepidation or, sort of not really knowing what to expect. And by the end of a workshop, they're just delighted. I mean, it's such a change. It is so wonderful to see. And they're having fun with themselves and they're not self-conscious about it. And, it just really changes the way that you perceive what you look at on yourself or see in the mirror or feel as you're moving. It just changes your perception of that and your value judgment that you place on it.
Yes. I love that.
You learn to actually have a positive value judgment rather than a negative one, no matter, if you look what the media says you should look like, or your boyfriend or ex or, girlfriend who's not very nice, or, whatever. Parents. I mean, we get it from all sides.
Absolutely. And I think with burlesque,
so it just gives you I was just going to say, it just gives you such a renewed sense of self-esteem when you think about your body.
I love that. That's so important. And I think because, like you said, it's so fun that it seems a little bit more appealing than someone maybe who's just picking something up and, has to choose between ballet or something. Burlesque seems really upbeat and a fun thing to try if you've never done dance before. So it's about the wink and the smile.
Yeah. I mean, it's not taken too seriously. So.
I love that. I love that. And I think that a lot of women want to embrace their sexuality, but the lines get blurred between that feeling of being sexualized by men and feeling like they don't measure up to certain beauty ideals. How does this type of dance connect women with their bodies and make them feel sexy without making them feel objectified?
Very simply, you're the one in control. It is you driving the narrative, not anyone else.
Yes.
It is your time to shine, to let your inner diva out to play and have some fun and just be playful. Find the sense of humor in it. Find the comedy. Find the wink and the smile, the tongue-in-cheek part of it, the not so seriousness. And if your shoe flies off and across the room, who cares? Laugh it off. I have had that happen several times on stage when an
That,
elastic is broken or something.
that's amazing. So it's more about or more about feeling sexy as opposed to being sexy. Is that correct?
Well, mentally, yes. Like you
Yes.
take the pressure off.
Yeah.
You will wind up being sexy because the technique part of it, seriously, the technique part of it is going to show you how to position your body, how to place yourself. I mean, it is the age of the selfie. Everybody knows now. You shoot from above, you turn your hips, you suck the tummy in, you put the boobs out. We all know that. So, and it's no different really in dancing or in just how you sort of present yourself. So you learn those skills and those techniques, but it all comes from the inner confidence. And that's taking the pressure off. And we all know a confident person is a sexy person.
Yes.
It's that simple.
I love that. So talk to us about how this can help women find confidence in themselves that trickles out into other areas of their lives.
Oh, it's wow. It is it's that inner something. And in the movies or on TV, they always talk about the movie star or the TV star who's got that, special something, that little zing, that, whatever it is, the charisma that just exudes. And that, I think, comes from their confidence and their relaxed sort of being with themselves and with their craft.
Yes.
And once you've got that in anything, if it's something that puts you in front of an audience or in front of other people, even if it's just your own family or your significant other, you don't lose that. You regain that sense of self-confidence. Like, no matter whether you think it's good or bad, little girls who get put into beauty pageants when they're young, whether it's good or bad, they do take away from that sense of self-confidence being in front of an audience and being in front of other people and being interviewed on the spur of the moment. And that part, at least, can be a positive.
Yes.
And so it's kind of the same thing. If you learn to do a few moves and you start to see yourself in a different light and you start to gain that self-confidence and you find that inner power that as women, biologically, we all have. I mean, that is our function on the planet, use that inner power. That's how we continue on as a race, as a human race. So once you sort of gather that sense of energy and power, that's going to transfer through the rest of your life. You kind of carry it with you.
I like that. So what would you say to someone who is interested in maybe trying your classes, but are worried about how they'll look during it? What are some tips you can give them to let go of those worries?
Well, that is the whole reason I decided to do something on demand. I mean, one of the silver linings of this whole pandemic we've all been going through
is
that it forced me, it kind of pushed the envelope to where I couldn't just do in-person workshops anymore. Because normally I do them in LA and, people even come from out of town to do them, in LA, it's great. And then I go to New Zealand and I do them on the other side of the planet.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I've actually been asked to choreograph a new live show down there based on the movie Burlesque.
Wow.
So that'll be fun.
Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So anyway, it got everybody in a real tizzy, I mean, the gyms were closed, the dance studios are closed, all your normal activities, you couldn't even go out to a bar and go dancing or a nightclub, it's done. So I thought, well, I'm not the only one frustrated, surely. And I want to do something to help all these women everywhere who are just, stuck.
Yeah, we need something to do.
Right. And I don't think that feeling is going to go away really anytime soon, if honestly ever, now that we've all learned exactly how viruses spread and how easy it is to catch things airborne for hours, even after someone's been in a room.
And how fun it is to do things in the comfort of your own home.
Exactly. And it takes the pressure off. You don't have to worry if you think somebody's judging you, which they're not, by the way. If you go to a live, they're not. everybody's dealing with their own things. They're not worried about you.
Yeah.
But you can do it in the privacy of your own home, and you can stop and start and work on something. You know, it's not a Zoom class that just carries on, whether or not you got something. It just leaves you behind, and it's a one shot, you're done.
Yes.
My classes, you can go back to them as much as you want.
Amazing.
Work on a move, go to a different move, work on a routine, you know, whatever.
That sounds like so much fun. Would you say that burlesque is a type of dance that is safe for beginners to dance, or who have never tried?
Oh, absolutely.
Form of movement? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I most of my students who come to me are not dancers. I mean, maybe they did a bit when they were younger, you know, kind of, you know, like me, tap, jazz, ballet, whatever. But it's designed for somebody who's actually never danced at all. And I break it down. I give you the basics. I treat it like a real, honest to God, regular dance class, because that's my background. So I teach you properly. And, you know, that way I want to make sure you get good technique. If you decide you love it and you want to continue on and get serious, you're set. There's no correcting bad habits or, you know, trying to fix mistakes that you've gotten into the, you know, situation of doing all the time.
Amazing. So I'm an athlete and I've never been one to pick up dance moves very quickly. Walk me through what it would be like to do a move in one of your classes.
Okay, do it now. Do it with me.
Okay.
I will tell
you can't
you right
see us,
now.
but I'm going to try it.
And if you're listening, you should try this because it's a very simple move, and it is the classic bump and grind.
Okay.
So from old school, I'm talking old school burlesque that our like grandparents knew about and probably went to. And there are old burlesque dancers, well, I shouldn't call them old, mature, experienced, that are literally in their 70s and 80s that will do this. I've had breakfast with these girls and they will get up and do it in the middle of a Denny's just because they can.
Too funny.
So anyway, standing with your feet just a little bit apart under your hips, basically, sort of straight down under your hips, and then put a little bit of a bend in your knees, just a little bit of a nice bend where you can sort of bounce just a little bit gently if you wanted to. And what we're going to do is the grind portion first, which if you do Tahitian dancing, by the way, is called an ami. It's just a hip circle. So you're going to you'll take your hips and then move them to, let's just say the left, then swing them around to the back. And you don't have to go very far to the back because we kind of go to the back naturally, and on around to the right. And then tuck that tummy in, tilt those hips to the front, that pelvic tilt, and that's really good for your abs, by the way.
There you go.
And then on back around. And you're just going to circle like that slowly, 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 and then speed it up, speed it up, speed it up, speed it up. And there's your grind.
And the
bump, you can, if you stop now, the bump, that very first little hip to the left that you did, if you only did that, that's your bump. So hip to the left and then back to the middle. And try it the other way. Hip to the right and back to the middle. Left and to the middle, right and to the middle. And those are your bumps. And then the circle is your grind. And there you go, the bump and grind.
I love it. That's so easy to do. And I can tell you're a fantastic instructor just by talking to you over the phone. We're not even in person. So that's amazing.
I can tell you got it too. I can tell by your expression and your voice. That's fun.
So please tell us where we can learn more about your programs and where we can find you online.
Okay, well, if you just wanted to look me up anywhere, I'm on social media, of course. It's Crystal Cuvée Burlesque, and I'll spell it for you. It's Crystal, just like a crystal wine glass, which I love wine, by the way, so that's my name. Crystal, and Cuvée, just like wine, a cuvée, is Cuvee. And burlesque, just in case you don't know, is Burlesque. So Crystal Cuvée Burlesque. You can just hashtag that. I'll pop up all over the place. And if you want, reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook. And I can give you a link to my website, which is on Podia. So Podia. And if you just looked for Crystal Cuvée Burlesque, Podia.com, it would be .podia.com if you want to write out the whole thing. That's my website. You will find all the information, my bio, all the different like videos of classes and frequently asked questions. And there's even some free ebooks on there about how to get your sexy back after lockdown, which has been very popular.
So lastly, before we end, if you could offer one tip to our listeners, what would that be?
Oh, honestly, that would just to be let yourself have fun. We have forgotten to play, and you need to play now more than ever. We need that lightheartedness, that non-judgmental aspect to our beings, and let yourself just enjoy it. Try something new.
I love it.
What can it hurt?
Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today. I can't wait to check out some of your videos and learn a little bit more burlesque moves.
Oh, you're so welcome, Emily. I can tell you'll be a great student, actually. You're going to just shoot off like a rocket with this. Watch out.
Thanks.
Once again, thanks for listening to today's episode. Make sure you follow us at Real Happy Daughter, and please share this with someone who needs a little more real in their life.